Our next researcher, Dr. Ian Wright, is focusing on what happened when research discovered major water pollution of a highly valued river from a coal mine.
Thank you. Industrial water pollution is a growing problem in Australia and worldwide. My case study is really close to home. It's in fact only 14 kilometres south of our Campbelltown campus. It's from the Westcliff coal mine. It's the deepest coal mine working in Australia, and it mines steel-making coal, very highly valued for low ash and low sulphur. Now, my aims in doing this research were, number one, to generate new scientific knowledge. This is a leading export industry for Australia, but we supply relatively little research across the world. My second aim was to raise awareness about the problem. There's a lot of rhetoric on this subject, it's very contentious, but raise awareness in terms of facts. And thirdly, given the scale of the problem I found, I wanted to seek better management, better regulation, better treatment of the mine waste. Now, in the marking criteria, we talk a lot about engagement. My view of engagement has changed through this research. Doing the science and publishing was actually the smallest part. So I've created my 6-pointed star of engagement. My research is within that. My research was actually directed from that. I heard from the community. I have very broad connections with the community about this problem. I work on other coal mines. It isn't isolated, but this is just a particularly good one. So the community, I've had multiple connections, demographically and geographically scattered across Sydney. I've been to so many annual general meetings, community meetings, and in those meetings, I sensed the anxiety of the community about water pollution from coal mines and coal seam gas. And the second part of that I didn't expect at all, and no disrespect, but politicians often come to community meetings. You don't often know they're there, but number one, if they're in opposition, and number two, if an election nears, they come and talk to you. I take that opportunity every single time. They're important decision makers, and I take that opportunity to educate them. They're going to make important decisions. Now, the third part of engagement here, I didn't expect at all, and I would have run a mile from if I could. The Macarthur community took great exception to this pollution, and they wanted to act, do something. I thought about a letter writing campaign or a stern editorial. No, they took BHP to court. The Macarthur Bushwalkers and Mountain Biking Club took BHP Billiton to court, the then owner of this mine. David and Goliath case, if you'd like. Now, they funded me to do a little extra research and gather my evidence. The lines were formed for the court case, and then it was announced in the media. I didn't expect this, I didn't want this. But in the media, there's been lots and lots of media. This is a contentious case. TV, print, radio and social media. But a day that's burnt into my brain, July the 18th, 2012, there was a media storm. I felt quite important. It was good for someone as shallow as me. News crews were looking for me. But the most important thing, that photo, middle left, was actually on the front page of the Sydney Morning Herald. Most important part of that was the Environment Minister at the time, Robin Parker, was furious when she heard about the court case. She said, and I spoke to the Herald journalist that interviewed me as well, this pollution is unacceptable. I've put the EPA there and they should fix this. And that was government policy made then. Critical moment for this case study. Wouldn't have happened without my research, the community, the court case and the media. I didn't design this. Then the most important part and the hardest working part, the EPA, the Environmental Policeman of New South Wales, stepped in with gusto. I've circled in red there a contract for the mine called an Environment Protection Licence. That specifies the environmental performance of that mine to protect the environment. It had only 3 pollutants mentioned in it: pH, oil and grease and sediment. Now, how did that match? My findings were that the waste from that mine made up to 90% of the flow of the Georges River, and it was enriched with salt, with nickel, with zinc, copper and arsenic, all of which created, ecologically, a loss of freshwater invertebrate species. That's a caddisfly in the lower right, about as big as your small fingernail. Important food source for the platypus. The Georges River is probably the home to the most healthy platypus population close to a large population centre in Australia. The most important part is industry. South 32, that are now owners of that mine, bent over backwards to invest in treatment, reverse osmosis, the most advanced water treatment now to meet the new water licence. The EPA commissioned their own science. They now have licence conditions on all the ecologically dangerous pollutants coming out of here. And the licence reflects the impact to protect the environment. So the impact of this is, it's not an isolated case. It's typical around New South Wales, but this is now the most detailed licence that looks at the biology and the chemistry based on evidence-based science. It's a leading example in an industry that causes lots of public controversy, and it has international applications. I'm working on other case studies similar to this, but I'm proud to say my research has contributed to this. Thank you.